Okay, it's time to get started on our pot. You've seen how to make the pokey. So now that my pokey is dry, it's ready to use. And you've seen how to make the coils. So I'm going to keep my coils in my bag until I'm ready to use them. And we're ready to get started. First, we're going to make a tortilla out of clay. We start the same way we started the pokey. We'll take a piece of clay and we're going to roll it kind of all directions, not just this way, but round and round, and I kind of move the clay and then roll it. And I've shown you this, and this is how to make the ball of clay. So this ball is a lot smaller than the pokey. The pokey was like the size of a lemon. This is about the size of like a golf ball or ping pong ball. So now once we've got the ball, we're going to put it in our palm and we're going to clap. And each time we clap, we're going to move our hand. And you can see that this round piece of clay, if I'm turning it, each time I turn it, it stays round. And we've made this tortilla. You want to make the tortilla about the thickness of the coils that we made, which were no thinner than 1/4 inch. So that's about 1/4 inch thick. All right. So I'm going to place it right into my pokey. Now that my pokey's dry, it won't stick to it. And now that my pokey's hard, when I push against it, it won't move. So I'm going to push that clay down into the pokey so it's round. Okay. I'm going to take my coils now. So the first part, start with a tortilla. The rest of it, we're going to work with the coils. Now for this first one, I wouldn't try too hard for a certain form. Just kind of practice. But with this coiling technique, you can come up with all kinds of cool forms. So I love these forms. They're almost like the human body. By taking the coils, here's the bottom, the tortilla. By taking the coils and either putting them on top of each other or inwards, we can shape the form the way we want it. So this is a typical pot. That's a nice form. And you can see one big curve. That's kind of a cool form too. So I'm going to go inwards and then just kind of back out a little bit. So I take my coil and I'm going to, as I put it on the tortilla, I'm going to turn my pokey round and round, and I'm pinching it against the clay. I'm pushing it against the clay so it sticks. Where that last coil ended, I'm going to put my next coil. Spin. So I'm pinching and spinning. Pinch, spin, pinch, turn. My thumb is on the inside. And my fingers are on the outside. As I put the coils on, if I go on the inside of the coil below, my form gets smaller and smaller and smaller until the opening is just big enough to get your finger in. So I'm just pinching, pinch, and turning to get the clay to stick together. Okay, so my thumb goes on the inside, and I'm pinching and turning, pinching and turning. Now my thumb has got this curve on it, so depending on your thumb kind of depends on your pot. Your pot's going to be in the shape of your thumb and your hands, so everybody's pot's going to be different. I go round and round with my thumb on the inside and my fingers on the outside. You notice I haven't taken it out of the pokey, so it's soft so that the bottom stays nice and round when it's in the pokey. I'm careful when I take it out of the pokey. I'm going to take it out of my pokey and pinch it together on the very bottom there where I really couldn't reach when it was in the pokey. Is this making sense? I hope it makes sense. Okay, when I set it back down, I want to set it in the pokey so it stays nice and round. Okay, so this form just is closed, goes in. I think a lot of people like the ooh la la form where it goes back out. I'll take my coil. Again, it doesn't matter the length of your coil. If you can only roll short coils, that's okay. So now, on the outside edge, I'm going to put another coil where that one stops. I just continue on. So far all I've been doing is pinching, kind of forming it as I pinch, but we're also going to blend. So where the coils meet together, you can see there's a line. We're going to blend that and make that disappear. So I'm holding my hand on the outside and blending the clay. You're going to do that where you can see the coil marks, so here. And you're going to blend the outside. Now I like to show you with your fingers because it's just the best way. But you can also use a stick. So I provided a stick, just a popsicle stick, with your supplies. So if you don't want to use your finger, you can also use the stick. I usually use the stick and then I go back with my finger because my fingers can smooth it out a little bit smoother than the stick. You can use the side of the stick too. But our goal is to keep it in a nice form. And just to blend all those lines so you don't see the lines anymore. And as you blend it, if you push too hard and smash your pot, you can just stick your finger back in there. Oops. And my thumb here is pushing out and kind of just to reshape the pot. Put it back in your pokey and do the same thing. Put it in your pokey to blend it. If you do the same thing round and round to your pot. It should stay round. Whew, starting to sweat. Oops, didn't put it in the video. Okay, so eventually we're gonna get a pot. It's all blended together. In a rough form. Feels good in the hands because the bottom is round and our hands are round. So. Okay, at this point, we're going to leave it to dry. So it might take overnight in the sun. It might take just a few minutes. And the next step we're not going to do until it's dry. When it's dry, we're going to take the sandpaper and we're going to sand all the bumps off. We're going to sand all the unevenness off. We're going to make this perfectly round with the sandpaper. Sandpaper doesn't work on wet clay. So you're going to wait until it's dry. I like to let it just dry right in its pokey. Okay? One thing to be careful of is when it is dry, they're very fragile. So once it's dry, be very careful.